Bank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. One-time promotion limited to customers open a new account. In response to this offer will not apply to requests to converting existing accounts. Terms and conditions apply. Have fun with it. Kramer, why don't you start? Let's see if we can get some good takes here to end the show. What do you got for your best bets?
Like that, coaching yourself up. Awesome. I hope you have some good takes too. And Edwards over 7.5 rebounds. I enjoyed Scott's take there. I'm not going to do I'm not adding in the assists. I'm just going rebounds. I
know. Insulting.
Well, so I like to tail Scott on one play a segment, and he really got me going with that one. I like the idea also of Ant having a lot of energy. Rebounds come from energy, as we all know, Sean. I'm also going to tail Mr. Colby Dant with the Texas play. Under 9.5 wins, plus 140. Sean, in fact, I found a 150 in the break.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, he laid out the schedule. And, Sean, we watched Arch play a couple games in high school when he was like this mega recruit. And let me tell you something. The Mannings
doesn't have many starts. I don't think they're gonna.
The Mannings paid a couple bucks for that star rating. I don't think he's going to be this superstar quarterback. And I think to the point of what we were discussing with when he comes to the NFL, I think the plans that the Mannings have is for him to get starts because they know that that's an important ingredient in being successful at the next level. So all of that, he's going to have some growing pains. And guess what? It's Texas. You don't have to sell me the idea that they're going to not show up for some spots that they should show up. So plus 140, plus 150, I'm all in on that. And then when we were talking so much football, I put in my first teaser, Sean. Broncos and Eagles. We're going to little 6-point teaser there. What could possibly go wrong? Notice how I left the Commanders out of it. Then we have the Jets revenge spot. Jets +3. I quickly talk through it again.
Careful, Ryan. Mike Tomlin opening day. Careful.
On the road, Aaron Rodgers or some unnamed quarterback is involved in how this number is being calculated, because if this is Will Howard or this is Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields is laying 2.5 points in my opinion. Then I got the Browns +5.5.
Sure.
6 out of 7 at home against the Bengals. The Browns have gotten it done. I'm a little worried about the quarterback controversy going into the season here, but take the points. To what you said, Bengals win a close one. And then I'm locking in the Cardinals now. We have no idea. I don't understand how this Saints situation can get better, short of them trading for like a Kirk Cousins. I doubt that happens in division. So laying the points with the Cardinals, I'll probably find a sneaky way to do a little money line parlay when we get closer to the season. And then lastly, mortal lock. Not really, but Bengals, most wins, 28-1. That's not the right price. It's not the right price. And what I did, I'm not advising you to do this, but what I did is I went and I bet as much money as I could on it immediately. So that's the best bets. Let's check back in 6 months, see if this Bengals hits. 28-1. Do I need to read off the odds of the other teams?
Yeah, no.
They're behind the Vikings.
I'll start with it. Yes. Give me most wins. Bengals 28-1. Love that. Also, that's it for me for football. I'll save my week 1 picks for our week 1 show.
We didn't even cover the Hall of Fame game.
Take the under. For me in the association, give me the Pacers laying 1.5. Got that in pocket. T-Wolves +2.5, and Edwards over 12.5 rebounds and assists. I do like Scott's rebounds. I'll play the rebounds and assists. Rudy Gobert under 16.5 points, rebounds and assists, going back to that. Lou Dort, he is a very much home road split guy. With the Thunder going on the road, I'm going to take his under 7.5 points. For hockey, tail Scott, give me Panthers in regulation +110. For WNBA, #tail Scott, Liberty laying the 3.5. And of course, the best country in the world, Team USA. Get this now. This number will move once the sharp market attacks this. Team USA to win the flag football Olympics at -300. This is like getting Dream Team at -300, right? I'm not one to lay big chalky favorites, but at minus 300. You're doing yourself a disservice.
Sean.
When these flag football sharps come and bet this up to minus 600, don't come crying to old Sean
When
Green.
is the first game?
I don't want to reveal that. It's a while.
July 14th, 2028.
Well, this is why you put it in pocket, Ryan. That's why you put it in pocket.
That actually is an interesting for the handicap. I mean, some of the guys they're listing player wise are going to be a little bit older in 3 years' time from now.
You suggested Brian Westbrook, which put on a couple pounds.
No, I said that type of running back.
No, you said Brian Westbrook at first.
Yeah, like him in his prime would be great at football.
So Saquon though would be awesome.
But I agree. In a phone booth, he's pretty good. But still, you probably don't need the extra weight, and you might look for a shiftier guy. So you think
Keaton Mitchell would be better at flag football than Saquon Barkley?
Yeah,
that is that. Now, if you disagree, hit us up at Gambling Podcast.
I think Keaton, if both are healthy, no way Barkley plays, by the way, because he already has that workload issue coming into the season. So.
Wow, right.
And I forgot one
injury on.
I think you like it too, Ashton Jeanty. Give me the over 1,075 and a half rushing yards. I think we're going to look back on the Ashton Jeanty one and feel like that was pretty silly.
Wake up tomorrow with the PSIN Weekend Morning Line at 10 a.m. East, followed by Ready, Set, Bet at 1 o'clock. Then stick around for Live Bet Saturday at 4 o'clock East. We, of course, will be back next Friday, as always, 11 o'clock East, 8 o'clock Pacific. What's going to be on the card next week, Ryan? Maybe we'll go back to UFL. People are wondering, hey, where did the UFL segment go? These last two games, the playoffs are already set for the UFL, so these are meaningless UFL games.
We're investigating the integrity of the league at this point.
We have some questions.
They moved a game last minute, new home. St. Louis, who is a great home team, gets a bonus home game.
They did cover. I was all over the battle.
Easy money.
But yeah, check out all our podcasts, Sports Gambling Podcast. Kramer, what do we have coming up this week?
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving without going overboard, so you don't need to start foraging wild berries.
I was skeptical, but these are actually pretty good.
You don't need to sell your soul to the devil.
$15 is the best I can do.
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Price Match applies the same item. Current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social by playing with friends. Learn the game and know the odds. Play with trusted legal operators. And if you need help, reach out. If you're getting in on the action, visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
This is VEASAN Primetime.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier. Then make sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. Or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football. Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. 330-707-4202. Get in. Talk sports. Do it every Saturday morning here. Here is Western Reserve Radio. Dave Clark. I've got a lot to get to today going on. NBA basketball. Not a good day for the Knicks. Looks like the series could be over. They lost last night to the Indiana Pacers, 114-109. They dumped the first two at home. Wednesday night, they lost the game that they obviously should have won. They were up cruising, and and Indiana just came back, and they just basically took care of the Knicks on Wednesday. And then last night, Indiana's a very good basketball team. In fact, I think they've got the basketball gods on their side, Dave Clark. I've come to that conclusion that Indiana is probably going to obviously beat the Knicks. I don't see the Knicks coming back. Now, the Knicks do play better on the road than they do at home. And I know Stan Van Gundy said toward the end of the telecast when the Knicks were losing and going to lose, oh, well, hey, the Knicks are on the road. Look at their road record, yada, yada, yada. Because he can't basically say, hey, this is over. But everybody knows for their own sake purposes it is. Now, maybe the Knicks get a game or two on the road, but I don't see that happen. I mean, they might get one. I don't know if they can win two, but I think it'll be 3-1. Maybe the Knicks get one of the games in Indiana and they split it. Then they're down 3-1, come home game 5 and could lose game 5 on their home court. Maybe not, but that's best case scenario in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, you at least get the one and be able to come back to your home court. And really, they played, like I said, played well enough both games to win them, and just didn't. And when you see that ball, especially in the first game, bounce up just bounce up that high, straight up, and come back through the basket. Sometimes it's just teams are fortunate in the right atmosphere, as they say right now, and things are going their way. So if New York don't allow that to get to them and hang their heads and continue to play, they definitely got a chance, because this is not a team, I don't see where either team will get they'll just blow each other out.
No.
So it should be there. It should be a tight game, and all they got to do is just get one. They need to get one. But if they get two, then we know it definitely turns into a big thing. We didn't see that happen. Teams lose 2 and then go on the road and win 2. So, and it's all these capabilities in this one, but it's going to be tough going, though.
The way the schedule maps out for Knick fans or basketball fans or Indiana Pacer fans, they have Sunday night, they play game 3 in Indiana, and then they play game 4 Tuesday. Now, flip to the other series, we'll talk about the OK City, Minnesota series. They have game 3 tonight. Now, Oklahoma City's dominated Minnesota first 2 games realistically. People are wondering whether or not Minnesota has really any competitive juices left, but you never know. They have not lost a home game yet. And what's that old saying about it's still a series until you lose a home game?
Right.
So even though Oklahoma City has dominated Minnesota both games in OK City, they do have to play tonight in Minnesota.
Right.
And obviously, Minnesota being down 2-0, we're always talking about this. This is the kind of the fork in the road game, I always say. This is going to dictate if Minnesota can win their home and make it a 2-1 series. Now you have a glimmer of hope that this could get interesting.
Right.
But if Minnesota dumps game 3 at home and they go down 0-3, it's over.
Yeah. There's no way they're beating OKC 4 straight.
No.
I just can't see it
No.
now. It's not to say it can't happen, but I can't see that at all. They lose this one, you just might as well, as they say, get ready to go Cancun, because it's all over.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
No team in the NBA has ever come down in any playoff from 0-3.
Right.
Yep. So they've had a couple that forced a game 7, but lost their game 7. I think Miami one year, I think it was a couple years ago. I could look it up. I forget who, were they playing, maybe Boston or somebody. And I think Miami was up 3-0. I think it was Boston came to 3-3, but then Miami beat them.
Yeah.
In game 7. But bottom line is, it has never happened in the NBA. Happened once with baseball, the Yankees and Boston Red Sox. It happened a few times in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So once a team in the NBA, once a team gets up 3-0, it's pretty much turn out the lights.
Yeah.
Party's over.
Dandy Don.
Dandy Don.
Yep.
So it looks like the NBA is probably, like I said, can the Knicks make it a series? We'll see. We'll see on Sunday. And like I said, they get a game off. They get a day off, but they don't get any more than just a day off. They don't give them 2 days. They are going to make sure they have a game every night, especially with Memorial Day weekend.
Every night.
Friday, we had Friday night, Saturday night. Today's OK City at Minnesota. Sunday will be New York and Indiana. Then Monday night will be Oklahoma City at Minnesota. Now tonight's game is ABC.
Okay.
OK City, Minnesota's on the network ABC. And then Monday's ESPN. Then the Knicks are on TNT on Sunday and Tuesday. So the Knicks and Indiana are the TNT, and this is the last year for TNT.
Right.
Then it's going to go streaming with NBC, Peacock, and I think Amazon. And so
every other ones we could think of.
It will be interesting to see what will happen to the ratings.
Yeah.
Because will people want to go into streaming and buy a regular season game? So-and-so, Denver's playing OK City in the middle of winter, 9:00. Are you going to go into your NB Peacock, which you'll have to pay for Peacock, where you go and basically watch it on weekday night, a regular season game, wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't think that's going to happen, and that the ratings
I'm one of them.
won't good. I won't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, bother to watch a regular season NBA game. I'm into it now, but the regular season, and the ironic thing with the regular season in the NBA, when you look at it, you see how great Boston did and Cleveland did in the regular season. Now, OK City, is doing their thing, but Cleveland and Boston are out. They didn't even make the conference finals, to everybody's surprise.
You thought both would. You thought that was the matchup, or at least one of them had to.
Right. Wow. Everybody thought that the big storyline beginning playoffs was, could Cleveland beat Boston in the conference final? Mm-hmm. People are almost like, why even bother to play, because it's going to be Cleveland and Boston in the conference final.
Yeah.
Well, that obviously didn't happen. But like you said, you thought, well, you might get one of them.
Yeah.
You've got neither of them.
Yeah. That was something.
So that was a surprise. Then you've got, I think the big surprise, though, was Indiana, because they seem to be, as you said, the team of destiny here.
Yeah.
The basketball gods are looking very favorable toward the Indiana Pacers. They just keep winning game after game after game when they're not supposed to.
Right.
And they keep finding ways to win, and their three-point shooting has been through the roof. And so we'll see. Again, last night watching Indiana, they just don't miss. And the big thing last night, the Knicks couldn't get any defensive stops when they needed to. Mm-hmm. They got behind toward the end of the game, and they just could not overcome that. I think it was a 10-point deficit.
Yeah.
And they came up short. And I knew, I was watching the game. I go, they're not going to win this game. They just can't they can't get the stops on Indiana where they could cut into that lead. And that's,
there's this exchange in baskets.
Yeah. And they were trading baskets when you're down 8 to 10 points. As the clock is ticking down,
right,
all you are doing is trading baskets, and you ultimately can see the game slipping away because you can't cut into that lead.
Right.
And then they had almost a Hail Mary from Brunson for 3 points to tie it, which you knew as soon as he shot it, it wasn't going in.
Right.
So, I mean, it is what it is. They're down 2-0, but you could see how the flow of the game was. And the other thing is, Dave Clark, in the NBA playoffs, you can't give games away.
Mm-hmm.
And like the New York Knicks had game 1, they should have won it.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland had game 2 when they were playing Indiana. They lost it. They gave it away. The Knicks gave game 1 away. Cleveland gave game 2 away to Indiana. Went down 0-2 at home. They lost. Now Knicks are down 0-2. but they needed to. The Knicks had game one in the bag and did not convert.
That game, they were up, and they got too lax to me.
Yep.
A little bit too lax, and then Neesmith just got so hot. He couldn't. I mean, this guy was unconscious, and he was always playing defense. Wasn't like he couldn't shoot. He always could shoot, but he wasn't missing anything.
Nothing.
And they couldn't stop him. They couldn't slow it down. They couldn't do anything. And the guy it was just a thing where that was it. I mean, came right back, and then you had that Hail Mary you might as well call as a shot, to see a shot go way up like that and come straight back down through the basket.
I had a flashback when he made that. I was thinking, showing my age, I remember quite vividly 1969, Don Nelson shooting the ball that sealed the game for the Celtics over the Lakers. It would have been, I believe, Game 7. That was the game, for those that remember, or those that have read about it, where they were playing the Lakers. Boston was playing the Lakers, and Jack Kent Cooke was the Laker owner, had the balloons up in the rafters.
Yep.
And it was being held by a net with the idea that we're going to win tonight and celebrate our title. And as soon as the game is over, we're going to release the balloons to celebrate because we're going to win.
Right.
And that game was the same kind of game where the Celtics had the lead, the Lakers came back. And I think when Nelson made the shot, the Celtics were up 1. But he shot the ball, and it did almost exactly what Halliburton's shot did. He hit the back of the iron. It went up, straight up.
Yeah.
And if the Lakers, obviously, if he misses the shot, Lakers get the ball, they have a chance to win the game.
Right.
The ball goes, and there's no 3-point line back then. Ball goes straight up, came right back down into the basket, game pretty much over. Celtics won this 1969 title, last title under Bill Russell, who then retired right after the game.
Yeah.
And bottom line was,
I remember that.
I remember it, and I remember that read more books about. Jerry West said in his book, the players were absolutely upset, to be nice way putting it, that they had the balloons. The players hated that.
Yeah.
The players couldn't believe that the owner did that. He said that's the last thing we wanted, was to give the Celtics the idea we've got this game in the bag.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And they were like, why are you like the...
You disrespect them.
Jerry West said that. He said, we gave the Celtics more incentive to beat us with those stupid balloons up in those rafters, waiting to be, because the Celtics just use that as almost more incentive to want to win that game.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, that to this day will always, in Celtic lore, will always be, ha. You thought, you had it in the bag, and the Lakers could never beat the Celtics back then. I mean, when you start looking at the history leading up to that, to 1969, when you go back into the decade
it was mainly Celtics winning that.
The Celtics beat the Lakers, I mean, all the time. I mean, year in and year out. When you take the 60s and start going year by year in the 60s, they beat the Lakers nonstop to win. Lakers under Bill Russell, Celtics won 11 out of 13. Russell played 13 seasons. He won 11 NBA titles.
Right.
And I don't think there'll ever be another NBA player that'll do that.
Yeah. Oh, I doubt that. I doubt anybody's going to ever do that.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
I mean, they would have to be fortunate. I mean, super fortunate. When I look at how many championships that LeBron has been in, now let's say he won them all. I think he would have been 11, 12 opportunities. Well, maybe 11 opportunities to win a championship. That's a lot. But who's going to win them all like that, to even get anywhere close to him? So
the 1 year Russell did not win, it was his second year would have been 1950. I believe it was 58. He did not win. He was hurt. And they lost to the St. Louis Hawks. I believe it was Bob. Was it? I'll have to look it up. But they lost. I know they lost to the Hawks in 58. Then the next time they lost to maybe one of the best teams ever. It was the 66-67 Philadelphia 76ers beat them finally in six. Hal Greer, Wilt Chamberlain, Chet Walker, Billy Cunningham.
Yeah, that team was
that team goes down. One of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah, nobody talks about none of that now.
No,
that was a great team.
That team. That Philly team was an unbelievable that was an unbelievable basketball team.
Yeah.
Then the Celtics lost to them. Russell lost to them in 67. They didn't get into the NBA Finals. Celtics lost to the Sixers in the conference finals that year. Finally, the Sixers beat them in the conference finals. And that was a loaded team.
Yep.
That goes down as one of the greatest teams. And the other greatest team of all time is the 71-72 Lakers. That was just an unbelievable, great team. They beat the Knicks in 5 games that year.
Another Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain, I know people criticize him because, he didn't have the titles that Russell did.
Right.
But he was also a member and maybe the prime link player on the 2 greatest teams of all time.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, Wilt, again, he kept running into the Celtics when he was in with the Sixers. Could not beat Russell and the Celtics all those years. They fought
they had a great team. That's the thing. Team.
Yep. And they kept running. They kept running into the Celtics, who had.
They were deep.
Yeah.
Celtics was deep, so they can come off 8th, 9th guy and still not lose a lot. And most teams just couldn't match, especially back then.
I saw this quote. It was on Facebook, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase the quote. It was Russell. Bill Russell's talking about John Havlicek.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, he's not the greatest shooter. He's not the best passer. He's not the best defender. He's not the best this, but he's the best basketball player. Like it was somebody's like, you give me individually, I could think of guys that might be better, but overall, he's the best.
Yeah.
Like he just said that, Havlicek could do everything on the court and do it really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is players like that. They could just do everything real good.
They could.
And sometimes those are the better players.
Yeah.
They don't look at it that way.
No.
So, but sometimes they are. Those guys, they can do absolutely everything.
And they do it really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Havlicek always had around a nose 6 to be where the ball.
Yeah.
Be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah. He was the Bird of the Celtics.
Yeah, he was the Bird of the Celtics before Bird.
Yeah. Always in the right spot. Here's the loose ball. Who has it?
Havlicek.
Yep. All the time.
Again, the 65 conference finals, Havlicek steals the ball.
Yep.
Russell turned it over. On the inbound pass, he hit the wire.
Right. That's something we used to have stuff like that, but that used to happen, things like that.
Things like that happened.
The wire.
In 1965, it looked like Celtics were up by, I believe, 1. They had inbound the ball. Russell threw it in and hit the guide wire, and that was considered out of bounds. So Philly got the ball. Philly was inbounding the ball. Looked like they were going to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, they inbounded, and who steals the ball for the Celtics? It was Havlicek.
I mean, it is crazy when they show that play, and then they show when Bird steals it against the Pistons.
Pistons, same thing.
It's like the same. It's like the same thing. That's really kind of.
It's kind of eerie because it's almost like the basketball gods.
Yeah, it was the same type
haunting.
Of thing. Yeah, because it was almost like the same exact thing.
It was almost the same play.
Yeah.
And after Havlicek stole the ball, Russell went over to him.
Yeah.
And he put his arm around him and said, "You bailed me out."
Yeah.
And Havlicek goes, "Hey, it's our team, man. We won."
Yeah.
He didn't care. He's like, "Hey, now you're our leader. I did what I needed to do to win the game.
Yep.
And Russell says, you bailed me out, John. Havlicek goes, no, I didn't. But Russell even said in the book, no, I goes, I screwed up and Havlicek bailed me out.
Yep. I remember that he used to have that. He used to have just thinking about that extension wire, different things. I remember they used to have that. You had to be very careful.
Yeah.
Inbounding
the ball.
Wow. That's funny. Just the conditions. Just think of the conditions now to what they were back then.
Oh yeah.
Man, what a mess.
Well, they always said to this day that parquet floor in Boston was a disaster to play on.
Yeah.
Had more dead spots and the ball bounced a certain way.
Yep.
It was
because I remember Barkley said on a fast break, he had a typical basic fast break.
Yep.
And then lost the ball and out of bounds. It went to bounce, but it didn't.
It didn't bounce.
It didn't come back up.
No.
And it, went out.
Went out of bounds.
It was a dead spot.
Yeah, dead spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some crazy things that used to happen in those games. In that Boston, the old
Boston Garden. Before it's now,
TD.
Yeah, what is it? The TD Bank?
TD Gardens.
TD, whatever. It's not the same.
Yeah, it doesn't have that other spooky stuff from that guy. That stuff used to be, can I remember those games, man? Guys coming there about to pass out because it's so hot in the Boston Gardens. Because it used to always be in the dead of the summer. At least it's the way it seemed. That those games they played with the Lakers and Magic and Kareem, and it used to be so hot inside the Boston Garden. I think they just turned the heat on too.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
That 69 Laker loss to the Boston Celtics. Jerry West was the MVP of the series of the losing team. I believe it. I have to look back. I believe it's the only time that the loser became an MVP.
Yeah,
the losing team had an MVP.
I've seen the show. I think it is that because they were showing different things. They showed him. They showed Chuck Howley being the only MVP of the Super Bowl on a losing team.
Yeah.
With the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas against the Colts.
Yep.
1971 Super Bowl where they lost to the Colts the field goal.
Yeah, they were showing different
O'Brien's
sports.
field goal goes 16-13. Yeah, Chuck Howley was an MVP.
Great game. He had a great game. And lose 16-13.
Yep.
Getting upset there.
He got upset.
Yep.
Playing on the probably the worst surface at one of those worst surfaces ever to play.
Yeah.
That was the
it's terrible. That gives me just thinking about that. That was a terrible surface. Man.
That was like an old, I believe it was the tartan turf, they called it. It was that AstroTurf, whatever.
It was bad.
And it got hot from the sun.
Yeah.
Miami. Down baked in that sun. It just
remember
became
how discolored
ice.
it was?
It was discolored. It was like an off green. It was like a bluish green.
And spots all over because it's so burnt.
Because it would burn in the sun.
Yeah, that thing was
And you could see those players slipping and sliding.
I remember hearing from, what was it? I think it was Manny Fernandez.
Yes.
And Nick Bonacani said that was their home field.
Yep.
They hated it.
They did.
They thankful that they got through all those seasons on it because, and you got to think, how did, guys like Greasy and Mercury Morris and all these guys survive? Right, because they ran the ball with Zonka, Morris, and Kick, and to survive that out there, Paul Warfield playing on the receiver. Oof.
They called it a polyturf. It was installed for the 1970 season. It was a type of artificial turf manufactured by American Billwright. Served as a stadium playing surface until it was removed after Super Bowl X, 1976.
It needed to be removed. That thing was right on concrete, too.
And that's what it was. But what people don't remember was really, they said they put a pad under that.
Yeah.
And
it's like a carpet padding.
It was really a carpet padding over concrete. And those players played on that. And obviously that's why a lot of the players or had knee replacements, the ones that don't have any, had major surgery as far as replacing hips and knees because they were playing on concrete.
Yeah. I mean, basically, that's what was going on.
That's what happened. And I believe, I was trying to look, I think George Brett played on that AstroTurf in Kansas City, and he played all those years.
Yeah.
And I believe he had a knee and a hip replaced, if my memory serves me. And he said 20 years, George Brett had a great, one of the greatest players, third baseman of all time in the argument, in the discussion. But, he said, I played all those years in the heat and on that turf.
Yep.
And it was like concrete. It was that little thin carpet over concrete.
Right. Right.
And all the pounding, knees, ankles, diving for balls, running.
Stuff like that, yeah.
They said it was just an unbelievable,
that was a disaster.
Disaster on his body. Especially the knees and the ankles just couldn't keep up with the basic abuse.
Yep.
Running up and down the field, outfield, whatever. There's a timeout. I wanted to talk about the Bo Jackson throw that he had Harold Reynolds.
Oh,
that's
one of the greatest throws ever.
We'll be back after timeout. We're going to talk a little NFL football when we get back on Western Reserve Radio.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio, take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Want to know what I like best about high school sports? I love watching my son run on the field. I love the fact that since he's been playing high school sports, he's making better decisions. And I love knowing that with the proper equipment, education, conditioning, and coaching, high school sports here in Ohio are safer than ever before. And that's something I really love.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Making money.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you. 330-707-4202. Get in, talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here, and here's Western Reserve Radio from 9 to 11. It's the Saturday morning sports page. I'm Pat Lucia. Dave Clark joins me every morning, every Saturday morning. At least we try.
Yes, that's what we want. And as football comes more and more, even more if we can be here.
Yes.
Just football is king.
It is. Eyeballs on the set, and football's taking over. Mm-hmm. Now they're talking, you'll like this. They're talking potentially having Tuesday or Wednesday night games now.
Yeah.
And Netflix.
Yeah, I want to get involved.
Well, they want, evidently they're floating it by Goodell. We would like to set up a package for, I think, a Wednesday night or Tuesday night. It was a middle week, like Wednesday night. We want to set up a package. So we want to buy it, And you could see, first of all, NFL, and we're going to talk a little bit. I know we jump all over the place because that's what this show does. The show is a maze of doors that open from the side you're on.
Right.
The old Cat Stevens sitting song. Anyway, talk a little bit about Bo Jackson throwing at Harold Reynolds. I keep watching that on Facebook.
That keeps coming on and on. I've seen it a couple times before. That's amazing. Just amazing.
The best part with that play, then I'll go to NFL. The best part of that play with Bo Jackson's throw, first of all, the umpire was out of position.
Yeah.
He called him out. Nobody believed it. Lefevre was, I believe, the manager out on the field for Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And he's arguing with the umpire. Reynolds is freaking out. You see the replay over and over. The ump got it right.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely talking about throwing a camel through the eye of a needle. That ball, and Bo Jackson threw the ball. He was in the outfield. It never bounced. It was a shot. It was like a cannon shot.
I know.
And he hit the glove. The catcher's. It was an unbelievable play. And the part that blows me away, it's so sad that Bo Jackson was hurt.
Yeah, I know.
Because he would have been, I am convinced, Bo Jackson, you know where I'm headed, man.
Yes, I know where you're
He would be a Hall of Famer in baseball and football.
Yes, I believe.
Hands down.
If he didn't get injured at all, injuries.
Never had any injuries.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Not only is he a Hall of Famer, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer in both sports.
Yeah.
If Bo Jackson continued to play baseball, because he was just so unbelievable, Bo Jackson would be a first ballot Hall of Famer in baseball and football. No athlete would have ever done that.
Yeah.
And future. I mean, Bo Jackson, sadly, the hip injury that did his NFL career and kind of did an end to his baseball career, curtailed it.
Yeah.
But had he not had that hip injury playing football, and he could have played baseball and football,
right,
he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer in both sports, I'm convinced.
I am convinced that. I'm convinced because, the time he played football, the guy was not in, let's remember now, he's not in football shape.
No.
He's just playing football, coming from baseball, just plays it. He's nowhere near that type of shape to play. And he overpowers guys that's been trained all season long in their sport. He runs these guys straight over like they're not even there. And then I thought, I did say this myself. I said, okay, that's early in the season. I'm happy he's with my team I like, the Raiders, so I'm happy. I said, but will he be able to do that later in the season? Still was doing the same thing. As it got later, it got colder, it didn't matter. He was still running guys straight over and then still outrunning everybody that was on the field. So I know it was they had an interview with Dion about something, and he said in the off season where guys were training after baseball, they used to get together for basketball things. And he said, if you wanted to come to see some of the greatest dunks that you ever wanted to see, you should have seen Bo Jackson. He said he could shoot from anywhere. Now, I've never seen Bo, but I'm not going to doubt anything he said. And then once I seen that, I'm sure you've seen that show when he said he could put a arrow through the bullseye.
Yeah, bullseye.
So they thought, well, okay, let's see him do it. But he did it with his feet.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Not us with the bow and arrow. He said, I'm gonna show you I could do it with his feet. And he did it. This guy was, I guess they said only a few come along, and every other, I don't know if we ever see in our lifetime an athlete like that. But I really feel bad that happened because that guy was Unbelievable. As a running back and as a player in baseball, you know. It used to crack me up when he catch the ball outfield, but he's running so fast, so he just runs up.
He ran up the
wall, and run back down.
Ran up the wall because he just he was running instead of colliding with it. He just ran up the wall.
That's just insane, right there.
I still like the home run he hit off the All-Star game. That's to the Russell. Russell was the pitcher, and Ronald Reagan was the president. He was I think at that time he had just stepped down. It was 1989, and he was doing the game. I can't remember the announcers who was doing it with, but they were stunned. They were like, when he hit it, Reagan goes, "Oh my!" Like they were stunned. It looked like when he hit it just on TV. I thought I remember watching it, and I thought it looks like a routine fly, and the ball just kept going out, like traveled out. Yeah. Like it was way out. Like it was like, about 450, 500 feet. Like it hit on top of the tarp out there in center field. That
doesn't make any sense.
It was a shot, and it was just like a normal swing. He just hit the ball. I was like, that's what he was. That's the part was, and Bo was like pure, like he was so raw as a baseball player, and he was getting better. You could see as he was with Kansas City, he started to improve.
Yeah.
As he started to play, he just got so much better. And he played at college.
Right. And he had a great college team.
And he had a great college career. But he had that problem where that's why he wouldn't sign with Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Because of the problem. Culverhouse, the owner, and they flew him to Tampa.
Right.
And the NCAA, our friends, stepped in and said that's an extra benefit and suspended Bo for the season in baseball. That's what upset Bo because he talked to Culverhouse. Bo knew the law, knew the rules, and said, I can't do that because of the NCAA. And Culverhouse, no, I got it squared away. You're okay. Well, he didn't square it away. And then the NCAA found out. They suspend Bo for the season. He missed his senior year playing baseball, and he was totally outraged, which he should have been.
And that's why he never signed with Tampa Bay.
And he wouldn't sign with Tampa Bay because they drafted him, and he said, I'm never playing for them again because of what they did to me.
Yeah.
And then they traded him to the Raiders.
He absolutely lied.
Yeah, he did. He lied. Right.
Everything was okay.
He told, you don't have to worry, Bo. I took care of that. Yep. And he did not. And Bo took the trip up to Tampa, football, and thought he was okay. And then the NCAA said, no, you're not. And it said, our favorite dog to kick around or kick the can. And bottom line is, so in essence, Bo couldn't play. And I'll tell you one thing, the more you see Bo Jackson, when we saw him play and the throws he made and the gun he had for an arm, a cannon, I never saw a player in my life quite like whatever Bo could do everything in football and baseball.
Yeah.
Like natural ability.
Yeah.
And again, I never saw a two-sport athlete.
Not like that.
Not like that.
Now, I mean, you have guys that, because I look at Deion. Deion was a very good Major League baseball player. And we know what he was as an NFL corner and kick returner. He was just off the charts.
Right.
But there was a little difference there. Now, he could play the game of Major League Baseball, and you could see the talent and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But Bowles was at a different level with baseball. He was a different level of baseball player. Yeah. And that's what, if you ever see that interview with Deion talking about, he said you can't compare that.
Right.
He said he was different.
No, right. Deion said, I played baseball. Yeah, I was a good player. I wasn't Bo.
Yeah. He said it many times.
He was, He goes, and I never confessed to be Bo. I mean, Bo Jackson was in a whole different level. Because Bo Jackson was in that 30 for 30, they were talking about him. And I think the one they were interviewing, one of the people and I can't remember the one. I'll have to look it up. But said he was an old Negro player in the Negro leagues,
right
back, and he said that, like, I've heard people like the bat striking the ball, and he saw Ruth play. And there's 3 players when they hit a baseball have this unique sound, and it was Babe Ruth, Josh Gibson, and Bo Jackson.
Yep, I remember that. And
it was in that 30 for 30 piece, and I can't remember the person they were talking to. I have to look it up. But he said that. He said, I've just heard when he struck a ball, he got to see Ruth play. I think he got to meet Ruth, he might have played against Ruth, because Ruth was really big with doing the barnstorming with like the Negro League ball players.
Right.
And he was real big on that. He liked Josh Gibson. He knew all the players, and they would barnstorm, go out. And this one player said that he heard Ruth strike a ball, Josh Gibson, and Bo Jackson. He goes, the way the ball came off the bat has a very unique sound. And I've only heard 3 people hit it that hard.
Right.
And it was Ruth, Josh Gibson, and Bo.
Man. Yeah. Unbelievable
guy. Man.
Yep.
Totally unbelievable player that Bo was, man.
Yeah.
That's what I love watching. Still, one of my favorite commercials, I pull it up, was the Bo Knows commercial. I like when they have Bo, he's doing hockey.
Yeah.
Gretzky goes, no. Bo knows tennis.
Yep.
Back and row goes, Bo knows tennis.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan goes, Bo knows basketball.
Yep. I remember that back then.
At the end, he's with Bo Diddley. He goes, Bo, you don't.
Yeah, Bo, you don't know Diddley.
Bo Diddley goes, Bo, you don't know Diddley.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's on the guitar.
Right. Oh, man.
That's too great, man.
Yeah, I said this past weekend, I seen one of the fiery interviews I've seen. I haven't seen the guy talk for a long time. With Barry Bonds. If anybody's seen it, boy. Man, he was on a podcast and they asked him questions, boy. He just, man, what was that thing? That was X-rated.
Oh, yeah.
And you might have seen it, but the things he was saying was true. I mean, he said he didn't deny anything about, coming out taking steroids or anything of that nature. He didn't deny any of that. And he said, back then, people asked me, well, you're going to come up and ask me about, am I taking them? Did they go up and ask everybody else every second about them? He said, back then, he said the commissioner and everybody else wanted, when he said everyone else wanted somebody to have a syringe hanging from their butt. So I started laughing. That was the most funny thing, but he said it's true. He said McGuire, he started naming all of them. He said they won't mind me naming them because they'll tell you the only way you weren't going to allow anybody to have a competitive edge over you with this here situation. So he said, but it didn't make me see the ball better. It didn't make me hit the ball, be able to hit a baseball. He said, I've always been able to hit a baseball. He said, so when you look at my statistics, I guess he was talking about because now they're going to allow Pete Rose
to be on the ballot to get, right.
And he still can't be on the ballot.
No.
And he said, those are two different things. He said, things that Pete Rose did, he lost games on purpose to do things in one game and set up things, So it's a completely different animal, he said, but...
Yeah, I guess the problem, here's the whole thing with like Rose. Supposedly he never bet on his team to lose. That's what we're told. I don't know where you go with any of this.
Yeah, I know.
I guess the only thing you have with Rose and the off the field stuff that he did was, it's unprintable what he did with the young girls.
and yeah. Yes.
The whole
this guy
creepy.
This guy was.
Yeah, total creepiness.
And I give Bonds respect to that because he wouldn't. The guy tried to prod him into talking about it. He would not go into it. He said, we know about it. We're not going to talk about that.
No.
We're just talking about baseball right now. But he just said, you can't never find anything on me about anything.
No.
If you want to find out some of me, you say I took steroids, you say whatever. He said, but I tell you right. And then he started naming them. Pitchers, everybody. He said they had syringes hanging out their butts. Believe me. Look, he said because everybody was trying to play at a competitive edge.
It was common knowledge back then that baseball went on strike. If you look at your history, 94, they went on strike. They lost the World Series. Never happened before. Hasn't happened since, thank God. Right. However, baseball was absolutely down in the dumps with the fans.
Yep.
So Selig knew, they all knew that these guys were taking steroids.
They actually encouraged them in an interview.
Again, encouraged them to people believe they were encouraged to do it.
Yep.
Because basically, bottom line, home runs bring more fans, get them fans back in the park, get the interest back. Right. The home run competition between Sosa and Mark McGwire may go down as the biggest ever, even though they were both doing roids, but everybody knew that. Yeah. And nobody cared because everybody loved the fact that, baseball was watchable again.
Yeah.
And it got everybody back to the park. And as you said, people do believe that Major League not only turned the blind eye to it, but encouraged it.
Right.
So they were all doing it. And then we said, then all of a sudden, a few years into it, after the fans are now back, baseball gets religion and says, we're not going to allow this anymore. Even though we've turned a blind eye and allowed it, and in some cases encouraged it, we're not going to do that. No. We're going to, it's hurting the game. The, competitive, game is at risk here because these players are taking steroids, and they all were.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Brent Boone was basically read Canseco's book.
Well, he talked about him.
Yeah, he was one thing Canseco in that book, and they all said this. They all said that when they were all in for the Congress, they interview all these people. Yeah. One guy came out and said, the guy at the end of the table, Canseco, was the only one telling the truth here.
Yeah.
Because Canseco basically wrote that book, and he was basically telling you the truth that, hey, I'll give you the names of all these guys because I know I used steroids, but I know these guys that were doing it too.
Well, Bonds brung up Canseco. He said in the game they had to play in their cross state, state rivalry game.
Right.
And he said
interleague
play. He was told Canseco was forced to take even more.
Yeah.
Because that weekend they had a 4-game with San Fran.
Right.
And they wanted that money.
They wanted money.
So they gave Bonds thumbs up.
Yep.
And he said Canseco tell you. He said he would have came and just tell you right to your face.
One thing Canseco didn't do, he didn't lie.
Yeah, he'll come right and tell you this happened. He said, but he said they and said he better do it. And he said at one time they were on we said Mark McGwire and what's his name? Sammy Sosa. If he didn't do so, I guess he felt a little funny. He didn't want to take it. He started feeling funny. If he didn't, then the word is going out that this is the guy that's doing the roids. Now everybody else is doing, but they're gonna put him as, their scapegoat. So hey, keep on taking him. He got to do what he got to do. And then all of a sudden, just like you said, we don't have that. And they are the ones that were behind a lot of them. Go with it, because their numbers was up there. Wasn't TV ratings was great. The fans was coming out going crazy.
They had to put the people back in the park.
Every game was like a home run derby,
and people showed up to and packed the stadium. 50, 60,000 in the stadiums, whatever it took. They were loading up the stadiums to watch it. And baseball wanted it because they had the problem again. The 94 World Series was canceled because of the labor disagreement, the strike. So 95, they were hit at all-time low. They couldn't get anybody back. And they said, we need to get people back into the stands. We need to get the people watching it on TV and bodies in the seats.
And that's what they wanted.
And that's basically what it was. And they, like you said, encouraged, blind eye, however you want to call it. Selig knew, they all knew what was going on.
And
like you said, in cases they had encouragement, said, no, you have to do it because you need to hit home runs. So we need to get people back in the park. And the whole thing with Rose, now that they gave him the green light, Hall of Fame, somebody said, well, does that mean Bonds? But he goes, they'll only get in after they die.
And that's what Bonds said.
Bonds said that.
Yeah, Bonds said.
Bonds says, I'll get in after I die, then I'll get in.
Yeah.
So my children and my cousins.
Yeah, as long as he's living, there's
I'm not getting in when I'm alive, but when I'm dead, I'll get in, and then my children can pick up go see my plaque in Cooperstown. Yeah. But the thing with Pete Rose, though, too, is like they have more Pete Rose stuff in the Hall of Fame right now.
Right.
And it's like he's not, but they've got his hits, the bat that he broke the record, Cobb's record, the shoes, glove, all that. All of Pete Rose's stuff is in there, but him.
Yeah.
It's almost like baseball. And like someone finally said, well, why didn't you just say, look, put him in and put it on his plaque?
Right.
And then here's the other thing with betting on baseball. Paul Horning and Alex Karras bet on football when they played, and their penalty was a year's suspension.
Yep.
So they got suspended for 1 year because they bet on football.
Yep.
Karras and Horning bet both to win, but they were betting on their team to win, and they got caught, and they were suspended for 1 year.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And so they got a year's suspension.
Handled their sport a lot different, didn't
right. Totally.
This is nonsense. When I look at Bonds, and he said, I have over 500 and something stolen bases. Steroids had nothing to do with that. And the guy said, look at my hitting percentage. He said, your hitting percentage was through the roof from the beginning of your career.
Right.
He said, me and Ken Griffey have gotten together many times just to look at our career and how close it was.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I was a little bit bigger home run hitter all the time.
Right, he was.
Than he was, but we both were still that trajectory.
Right.
But then when they wanted this in the thing, mine went skyrocketing.
Yeah.
He said, because I had a good eye for the baseball.
Oh, he did.
So now you giving me extra power to get it out.
Power to hit.
And he said, the ballpark, some of them was smaller.
Yeah.
So he said I'd knocked that thing so far out of there. He was admitting to it. He said, but he just don't understand how now, he said, the man is dead. Now you want to put him in there.
Yeah, now you want to put
him in there.
Somebody said, well, this is so baseball being the hypocrites they are, but now they'll put Joe Jackson in. But Joe Jackson's been dead since 1971. That's like 74 years. Joe Jackson died, I believe, in 1951, 74 years ago. Now you're going to put Joe Jackson in. Why didn't you put him in since he died in 51? Why didn't you put him in then after he died after 51? Said, well, he's dead now. So
who's going to,
right. And he took, $500 in a World Series, and he still hit three. I got to look up, but I'll look it up. Joe Jackson, he took money, but he hit like 360 in the World Series that he took the money from. But that goes back to that 8 Men Out. If you ever watch that movie, that Comiskey was the owner of the Chicago White Sox. He was just so cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
And he just screwed players. And he screwed the one Seacott, the pitcher, needed like another win to get a $10,000 bonus, and he sat him down so he wouldn't get his bonus.
Yeah, isn't that
so he screwed the guy out of his bonus. He's one of the best pitchers of the time.
Yeah.
And then he was supposedly had fixed the World Series. So I guess now he can get in too. All the guys in the Black Sox 1919 are now eligible. So now you could put all these players in.
These guys like Bonds.
Yeah.
In there.
And so Bonds has to wait till he dies to get in.
Yeah. Come on, put that guy in there.
Because just give it a break. If you're going to put Rose, just put them all in. And put it on their plaque.
Right.
Say, okay.
Because you can't, there's nothing else against Bonds that we know of any.
But you know what? With Bonds, he never tested positive. That's the thing.
I know.
See, this is the thing with cracks me up. Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame, but he actually had a positive test that they kicked under the rug, but they like Ortiz and they put him in.
Right.
They didn't like Bonds because Bonds was kind of surly with the press because it was Bonds. Right. But the point is, if you're going to put Ortiz in, then might as well put all the steroid guys in. Yeah. Put Clemens in, put Bonds in, put it on their plaque if you want to.
You're going to tell me that because Clemens took steroids at the end that's how he was great. No, that guy was great way before that.
Career.
Come on.
And Bonds was a great hitter.
All at the Pirates.
And again, none of those guys ever tested positive.
Yeah. See,
this is the point that always amazes me. They never tested positive for anything.
Yeah.
So now you're saying, we know you did, but we don't have any proof you did.
Yeah.
Ortiz, they actually had proof. And they let him in anyway because they kicked they said, well, that wasn't a valid test.
Right.
So,
I remember if you remember, and this is one of your guys that you love. I know you love because it's from your team. They was trying to think of ways not to let Lawrence Taylor in the Hall of Fame.
I know.
And how can you do it? I don't care what type of drug you see used. No. That had nothing to do with that man's play. If anything, it deteriorated it later. That guy.
Saturday morning sports page back.
The stations that always keep you in the zone.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast, Youngstown, Ohio.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football. Or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football. Nina's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard, or call 234-254-8532.
Saturday morning sports page coming back at you. Third quarter of the show. I know we got one off the proverbial range
we
there.
Get to that NFL now.
Yeah. We got sidetracked. Well, the whole thing with Rose and now getting into the Hall of Fame. And now you're going to let the guy in now that he's dead. Yeah. And then they make this rule. We'll allow him in when he dies. But then so we said, well, what about Shoeless Joe Jackson died way back in 1951. Why wasn't he allowed in the Hall of Fame? Why are we waiting? Shoeless Joe Jackson died December 5th of 1951 at the age of 64. Maybe one of the greatest hitters to play the game, no doubt. Was banned from baseball for taking money in the Black Sox scandals in the 1919 World Series. He supposedly took $5,000, but it never. They couldn't figure out. He took the money, but he still bat .375 in the World Series. So they couldn't figure out why he bat .286 with the team's games that the White Sox lost, but his overall batting average was .375 and and then this is the other weird part. Joe Jackson hit .545 in the games they won. So Joe Jackson of the games they won, he was over 500, and he was still .286 with the ones they lost. Overall .375 batting average. So he was like, supposedly, he took $5,000 to quote throw the World Series, but he still hit .375 overall. I mean, I guess you can sit there and debate that, but now he's eligible to get in the Hall of Fame as all the other players on that team that were banned.
Right. Oh, God.
So we'll see how this all works itself out. But now I know Baseball Hall of Fame is going to put a commission together. So they're not going to decide on Pete Rose until 2027. So the Hall of Fame's still not sure they want to put him in.
Yeah.
So this is just going to drag on.
Yeah, and I don't even pay
attention.
I just brought it up. This was talking about I call people Hall of Famers. I don't care if they're in that. I know a Hall of Fame guy. We know Barry Bonds is a Hall of Fame guy. I don't have to.
No, and Rick Clemens is a Hall of Famer.
Where's a Hall of Fame?
Yeah, we know that.
Automatic. Yep.
Well,
absolutely.
It's almost like when we get into this discussion with MVP, like I guess SGA. S8, well, yeah, is it SAG?
No, you had it right.
Shane,
SGA. Yep.
Gillis Alexander got in. Shea Gillis Alexander gets in over Joker.
Yeah.
And there's an argument, well, who's really better? Joker won it a couple of years ago. So bottom line is it looks like, OK City looks like they could probably win the title. They're probably the favorite team to win. So bottom line is, I always laugh at MVPs because I always look back at the 90s and I always look at Michael Jordan. And to me, Michael Jordan should have been the MVP every year because he was the best player.
Right.
Hands down. I don't care. You could say Michael Jordan, to me, had he got the MVP, won the MVP 5 times in his career, 88, 91, 92, 96, and 98. I mean, to me, Michael Jordan should have won it every year he was in the league because he was the MVP.
Yeah. It's just about every one of them.
He was. Yeah, he's still the greatest ever in my eyes. I know LeBron. I think they're different type of players.
That's the thing. I get so sick and tired of the debate saying it's it's a lot of people you can put in the debate. And I started telling them, I said, if we want to put in the debate, we can put Will Chamberlain in the debate. Right. If I want to put let's say Kobe in the debate, I could do that. Shaq, all these different guys, they were so dominant at certain times of their career. They were the best at that time, So, I mean, I don't like the idea of it. I've seen it for the longest. Michael would just sit back and not say anything. And he did speak up a little bit more on it now. And he said, again, which he's done said in the past, he doesn't compare eras.
No, he don't.
And he said he doesn't get any understanding why they think that if if LeBron played in his era, was so physical, he wouldn't be able to handle it. And he said, have you ever seen the games that he played in, especially when he first came to the league? They tried to beat him down.
They did.
But his body was so advanced and big that he was bigger than the guys. He said, so go back to our years. We were smaller. We might have had a Mahorn. Rick Mahorn. Yeah. And Rick Mahorn was, you're 6'8" and 240 pounds. He said he was already 240, 50, and 260.
When he got in.
He said that sometimes he had even got up to 270, he said, LeBron.
He started to fill out.
Yeah, he was bigger than them guys. So they don't understand how he could not take the physical punishment. They might not like the punishment he gave. He said because he came with a lot of speed. So he's talking about, I don't listen to that nonsense that they talk about.
No, I guess that's basically sports talk radio.
That's just all it is.
Food.
There's something to talk about, but
it's food for sports talk. It's like right now, we really didn't discuss this, and I probably just the only thing I'm going to say with Belichick and his girlfriend is I don't care. I just want to see what he does on the field. I want to see how many games Bill Belichick wins for North Carolina as head coach. Right. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I'm tired about she's at practice.
I don't care.
She's wearing this.
She's this. I don't care.
Do with anything with football.
I guess they were supposed to do a Hard Knocks, and then she was involved and very demanding, and they just said, no, we can't deal with this because she's too demanding, and she's going to, which I don't care about. I could care less about the Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I just want to see what Bill Belichick does as head coach for North Carolina.
Right.
They're adults. They're consenting adults. They do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I want to see what Bill Belichick does on the football field come August 31st or whatever
it is.
Carolina game is. How many games can Bill Belichick win for North Carolina as the head coach? How good is North Carolina going to be? I want to see what the team does on the field.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see how Bill Belichick adjusts to the college game.
Yeah, I want to see because they have talked so much about her and their situation that I don't even know what his recruiting class is like. I was listening to. I lost track. I don't know what it is because that's not the talk. It's not about football. And it's really getting annoying. So when I see it, something pop up, I look at it, and if it's talking about football, I'm gonna read it. But as soon as it brings her up in it, that's it.
I don't want
right off. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
Here's the football. Here's the schedule. This is what counts to me. They September 1st, Monday, September 1st, Labor Day at 8:00. They play TCU at home. I want to see that game. I want to see what North Carolina is going to be. Next week, Saturday, they play Charlotte at Charlotte.
Okay.
Then they have Richmond at home. And then they have Central Florida the following week, September 20th. Then they play Clemson at home, October 4th. Then they play California. They're off a week. They play Cal at California on Friday, October 17th. They play Virginia at home, October 25th. Syracuse, October 31st. Stanford, the following at home. North Carolina at Wake Forest, November 15th. Then they play North Carolina, November 22nd at North Carolina. And then they travel on the road, North Carolina State, their rival, the 29th. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
I want to know what they do in all these ACC games. Can he win enough games to win the ACC? Can he get into the conference tournament? The 12 teams.
And if he get in there.
That's all I care about. And now,
then to see him probably coach the Cleveland Browns next year.
Yeah, right.
No, I wouldn't be surprised that he comes back to the NFL for one more, one or two more.
I don't rule anything out. All I want to see with Belichick is what does he do on the field? What does he do? Can they win? Can he get them to 10 wins or 12? Can he win every game? Can they go undefeated? Can they get into the conference? Can they make the playoff?
Yeah.
What would they do in the playoffs? Can he, win the ACC?
See what he does with these college players.
I want to see what he does with the college players.
Right.
Best, great, maybe he's greatest coach ever in the NFL. Most Super Bowls won by one coach,
right?
Hands down. I want to see what he does at college.
Yeah.
I want to see what he does.
Yeah,
this year.
It's a different animal.
Now college football changed the seeding system, and they're just going to put the 12 best teams in. No more, and will the chips fall where they may.
I didn't get to see where that's from. That's like from the committee rankings, right? Not from the.
Yeah, I think it's from how the committee ranks. The committee will rank them. My understanding is the committee will rank them 1 through 12, and then put them in the formula.
Yeah, I'd rather do that.
And the top 4 get the buys.
Yeah,
and then
go from there. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
So I'm fine with that. So Notre Dame could technically get a bye. They couldn't before, but now they can.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they let them rank them, and then they put them in the 12 and play it off.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that the games be a lot better. I'm not going to downplay the games from this year's first year. I'm looking for better this coming season, and then I'm looking for expansion within after that.
Yeah, well, they are supposed to expand.
Is it the third year or fourth?
No, next year.
Next year, right? That's it. Is it 14 or 16?
Let's see. That's a good question. They're talking about as back as spring, the Big Ten floated the idea of 14 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're talking about, I thought they were going to go to 2 more next year, because they're going to expand it by 2 games. So they're going to go to 14 next year. And a lot of people believe that it'll get to 16.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And there'll be no buys.
Right.
And then the question is, who gets first? Does the NFL get to 18 before they get to 14? I think the NFL's got to get to 18 quicker, sooner than later.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming, and they'll go 2 exhibitions.
Yeah, it's too much money over 18, hanging out there for them not to go.
And the money, like we were talked about earlier, discussion is Netflix is supposedly interested in having.
Can you imagine the amount of money you're going to give them?
And
that means more money for the owners, more money for the players. And the only way they're not going to just give players extra money. They're going to make them earn part of that extra money. And how do you make them earn it? You add another game. So it goes to 18. We see it coming. It's coming, and it's coming quickly.
Well, and I think that's what, when you start, we always talk about it, and they always talk about that the NFL there's these rumors that that Netflix is going, there's talk about them now looking at the other days of the week that don't have football.
And that was Tuesday
and Wednesday is when I don't know which. I heard that somebody had said that the NFL is looking, because they already have Christmas Day wrapped up.
Right.
But now they want to make it so during the regular season, I think they were shooting for a Tuesday or a Wednesday game. So they want to have it NFL being played either a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and that game would be on Netflix. Or they'd have like a doubleheader on Netflix or something where they would be playing like the Thursday night game is Prime, and Netflix wants to have like a Wednesday night on Prime on Netflix.
On Netflix.
See,
so now you'd have Monday night football, Wednesday night football, Thursday night football.
Right.
And then back to
Sunday, Monday. Right. Right. And so Netflix,
I say
they want to have their own day. Like they have Prime, Amazon Prime is Thursday night.
Right.
So Netflix wants one of theirs. Because they want to,
imagine the money?
They're competing with Amazon Prime, so they want to get in on that.
And to be able to do that, you got to throw some lucrative cash their way.
Well, Amazon gives the NFL $1 billion for that.
So wouldn't you say they're going to have to come a little bit harder?
Yeah. So they'll give them $1.5 billion.
And then we know the players union going to look at that and say, well, there's our cut.
Oh, they do. They got to get, that's part. You see, it's so funny. It's because people think, oh, those players don't like playing on Thursday night. No, they're getting more money. They get cut. They get money for Thursday night football. They all the players are getting a piece of that pie there for Thursday night football. That's why they play it, is because they're benefiting too.
Yeah.
And so if they go to a Wednesday night with Netflix, say, or a Tuesday night Netflix, the players are going to get more money because they get a cut of the pie.
And the owners say, hey, they don't fit. They're not crazy about giving money away. So how do I give this money to these players? They're going to play an extra game.
Well, that's the 18. That's coming.
They'll take it to the 18.
And they'll go to the players union because they have to get that approved with the players, and then they have to give something up. Rumor is they're going to make free agency a year sooner.
That would probably that would make a lot of guys happy,
and make a lot of the guys happy. They get to the
things that, and then expand the rosters.
Right, they're going to have to expand the rosters.
Yep,
more roster spots. Mm-hmm. Probably increase your practice squad too.
Right,
and then they'll in turn cut the free agency by a year and let the players get into the free agency a year sooner. So the players will probably agree to that, and then they'll play 18 games, and they might be playing, maybe they play Netflix on Wednesday or Tuesday night Netflix. So you have Amazon on Thursday, and we'll just say maybe they have Netflix on Tuesday or Wednesday.
And that'll probably happen by next season.
It might happen. I could see it happening.
And if it don't, at least a couple years, it will happen.
Goodell did say, this is a year ago, he made the comment about getting to 18 games.
Right.
And everybody just assumed, well, he's talking. You have to realize Roger Goodell is the mouthpiece for the owners. Mm-hmm. And he's really echoing what the owners want.
Right.
So I think the owners want to get the 18 games in because they see.
Well, you want to put it out there so it'll be in there. They'll know, hey, this is coming. It's not a surprise.
Right.
So it's coming down.
They just have to get with the players union is what are they going to give the players?
Right.
And the rumor was, or one speculation was, they're going to cut free agency by a year.
And they'll go to 2 preseasons.
And they'll go 2 preseason. They'll play 20 games, 18 real games and 2 preseason games.
Yep. And what is those things they have? The joint practices, they'll have those.
Yeah, they'll have those.
So that's almost like their preseason stuff.
Right. They'll do joint practice. That'll be their preseason.
Yep.
They'll do, and they actually say that's better than the preseason games.
I've heard the coaches say.
Coaches would rather have the joint practices against
they evaluate better.
Because the evaluation's a better evaluation.
Yeah.
So they would rather have the joint practices against the other team anyway and bag the preseason game because they don't play half the time anyway.
Yeah, right.
I think it was McVay won't even play any of his starters in a preseason game. So
why not just,
So let's call it for what it is.
Yep.
Let's make this where.
Yep. I just think it's coming, and it's coming faster than we think.
I think so too.
Yeah. Now, I'm complaining? No, probably not.
No, but that's the whole thing. Nobody's going to complain. Nobody is going to complain about watching. Let's just say Netflix has a Tuesday night game. All right. Who's complaining? You're going to have to watch football now on Monday night and Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing you'll buy, if you don't have the Netflix package, you'll probably get it.
Yeah.
I have it, so I'll watch it anyway.
I already have it too.
I'm going to watch it. So the point is, I've got Prime too. But the whole point
is, so I'm going to watch it.
I'm watching it. And if I got it on Netflix, I'm watching it.
Right.
I got Prime, I watch it.
Right.
So bottom line is, I'm watching the football game. If Netflix goes with a Tuesday night game, I'm watching it.
And the thing about it, it's so set up. Even with the if you don't have these packages, let's say you're a guy that works afternoon shift, you would be missing this game live. Right. No big deal because NFL Network shows the game that night after it goes off. Right. It puts it on.
Right.
You're just coming home from work. Oh, let me check the game out.
I can watch the game.
I don't know what happened. Let me watch it.
I'll watch it. Or you get up the next day and now you have it on they have it on the PVR or whatever you want to call it. You can watch it the next day because if you have
in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
You can watch it any time because you have it stored in your
DVR.
In the DVR thing.
Yeah.
With your, if I've got YouTube TV and I can go in there and look at my library and I've got all the Seinfelds are in there, I can watch those.
Yep.
I've seen them 100 times, but I'll watch them 101 time. But the whole point of it is you have that in capability in with everything now, so you can watch the game anytime you want.
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. But if they go to a Tuesday, if Amazon, let's just say, what if Amazon buys a Tuesday night package and say, we're going to have Tuesday night football because we're competing with Prime. Mm-hmm. Netflix wants Prime. Netflix wants to compete with Prime. So they're going to go with the Tuesday night game. Who's complaining?
Sure, what do you mean?
In fact, the thing, if you watch, what's so funny, I think, once the regular season, once baseball's over, ESPN has Mac football.
Yeah.
Every they have what Monday? They have a Tuesday, Wednesday night.
Yes, they sure do.
Every Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's 2 games.
Every night, Tuesday and Wednesday. They have Mac football, and everybody. And you know what? People watch it because
I do.
A lot of people, I do. And the thing is, what people say, hey, this is really great football. The MAC is really a good conference. These guys it's like a wide open, this is great football to watch.
Right.
So, MAC football, they're getting money, obviously, to do this with ESPN, but they're filling Monday and they're filling Tuesday, Wednesday night fix, Thursday's Prime. Friday is still high school football, but no, college football has taken over Friday because now you've got college football on Friday night.
Nice, yep, you sure do.
So if you don't go to a high school game, or you go to a high school game, you can go home. You usually have a college game to watch.
Yeah, yep. Normally you do.
So football is just
loaded. It's saturated.
Taking over. Yeah, but no one's complaining. No one says, "Oh, geez, there's way too much football on."
Yeah, get that stuff off.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it. In fact, the ratings show. People are watching
no matter what. Yep.
And those bowl games that people keep discrediting the bowl games, but the only reason to a large extent they exist.
Those
no, but they watch the games.
They sure will. And a lot of them are very competitive and good.
Yeah. They're really.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Football season. I'm always looking forward to.
Yeah.
Ready to get it on.
Yeah. Last night was what is it? UFL? Yeah, I always want to call it USFL, but it's not.
No.
That was on last night. Right. And that's actually good football to watch too.
They come on, it's a good one on today.
The spring football.
Yeah, and they play off, and then their championship game, I think it's coming in the next week or two.
Right.
Yeah, this might be the last week of the regular season.
And then next week is like the playoff.
And then the championship. Yep.
So bottom line is people are all still watching.
And when that championship ends, they're deep in the OTAs, and then they go away for, I think, a week or two.
Right.
And then, be soon before we know it's training camp. Well, I think they got another, mini camp. And then the regular training camp, and then we're in it. We're in full swing then, because it'll be July.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it.
Oh, yeah, be there.
But you'll be there. But really, and the NFL loves the fact that they have turned football into 12 months out of the year. And now Christmas, Netflix has taken over Christmas. Unfortunately to the NBA, they've just said, we're taking this over.
Yeah, because it was at first, NBA has always been, Christmas Day was the NBA's day. And they know it's not that anymore. The NFL is taking it over. It's not your day. You may have some, now people, will they have viewers? They still will. They always will.
Well, they'll always, but they're just never going to compete with the NFL. Because right then, December NFL, that's what the races are all getting real interesting.
You can put whoever you want the most high-profile game in the NBA on. That's going to help your ratings. But if you got the Kansas City Chiefs
playing the Raiders,
or I'm saying
the
even
Chargers,
like that, any divisional game like that. Or they got to play the Ravens. And this is December now, so we know we're in playoff competition. These games mean everything. Whereas the NBA season has just got underway. these games don't really mean them. They're just nice because they're on the holiday. They usually play. Right. They really do put a good show on for you for the holiday game.
Right.
But these games, they're do or die in the NFL. They're watching them.
Well,
there's no way.
Sadly, what the playoffs have basically tell us in the NBA, and I hate to say this, but I've kind of been saying this, is the regular season doesn't really mean a lot in the NBA. Because look at the teams that have got to the conference finals.
Yep.
Look at Cleveland's great season down the drain. And you don't look at Cleveland. If you go to they don't look at the season as a success. Like you go to those teams, and Boston doesn't look at it as a success. No. When you get bounced, like we talked about the Lakers don't run around and say, boy, we had a great season. No, we had a bad season.
Right.
We went out in 5 games first round in Minnesota. We had a bad year. Wasn't a good year.
Right.
Same thing with Cleveland. They won, 66 games or whatever it was. They didn't have a good year. They got bounced out by Indiana.
Yeah.
Now the Knicks are playing, in my eyes, the Knicks are playing with house money anyway because they weren't supposed to get by Boston.
Yeah.
And they've just run into the team, Indiana, that's now a blessed team by the basketball gods. And Indiana might win the whole thing because everybody keeps saying, the way they're playing, they could win the whole thing. It could be OK City in Indiana, I think, and Indiana might beat them. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
But the whole point, you get back to the sadly with the NBA, the regular season doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Because you don't look at even the Lakers won 50 games. Hey, this was a great season. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
And we have to do something with our roster. We have deficiencies.
Do you see them going crazy about trying to get their roster together?
Oh yeah,
already.
Yeah, they don't.
We got to get our guy out of Milwaukee and get him on here.
Saturday morning sports page back after this. Fourth quarter coming up.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
Sherman Gillums Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
For more than 70 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans get all the benefits they've earned.
Al Kovac Jr., Paralyzed Veterans of America.
We provide one-on-one support tailored to your individual needs, including healthcare advocacy, benefit support, and career assistance.
For more information, call 1-800-424-8200 or visit pva.org. A public service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Saturday morning sports page coming at you. Fourth quarter of the show. Dave Clark. I'm Pat Lucia. Western Reserve is the station you're listening to, and it is the Saturday morning sports page. Dave Clark and Pat Lucia. Should maybe Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't care. Anyway, talked a lot. We're all over the board today because it was just kind of the kind of day.
Right.
It is. Talked baseball, Hall of Fame. I was still trying to figure out who the player was who was in that piece for Bo Jackson. Maybe it was Buck Leonard. He was the one that he played in the Negro Leagues way back. He knew Ruth. And he said that when he heard Josh Gibson hit a ball, Babe Ruth hit a ball, Bo Jackson hit a ball, the ball sounded differently coming off the bat. The way they just connected with the baseball. He said never 3 players would hit a ball that way.
And it's the sound.
Which he basically is telling us he was putting Bo Jackson in the same conversation
with
Josh
guys.
Gibson, who, again, you're talking the 3, maybe the greatest players ever to play. I still think Ruth was maybe the greatest. If Josh Gibson could have played in baseball, he might have been in the discussion.
Right.
But it was very interesting. I always thought that when Babe Ruth, growing up, always had good friends and was always close with the Negro League players.
Mm-hmm.
And then they barnstormed together. And like he knew Josh Gibson, he knew all the players, and they were good friends.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to say the country was not in a good spot from a racial standpoint.
Yeah.
You read these ugly stories, 40s
Back
and the
then.
50s.
Yeah.
Of the Celtics not staying at the hotel in Kentucky because they would not allow the black players to stay in the hotel. They weren't they couldn't eat at the diners. It was just disgusting. They boycotted the game and left. And the only thing that I was a little aghast by, the white players for Boston played in that competition down there in Kentucky in whatever it was I can't think of the name of it, but they played in it. I was surprised because I thought they all should have boycotted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Celtic players, all the Celtics, we're not playing. If you're not gonna let Sam Jones, Bill Russell, Casey Jones, all the black players eat at the diner, we're leaving.
Yeah.
You guys figure it out.
Yeah.
Leave. But that's ugly. That was the ugly part of our history. Very ugly. And like I said, but Ruth, I always gave him a lot of credit because you're reading about some of the players, old baseball players, how racist they were.
Yeah.
Ruth was not.
Right.
He was opened arms and wanted, had friends. And I think if it was up to Babe, he had everybody play.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was just an ugly part of our history that, again, you see this, but then Ruth was like, no, he was always, good friends. He encouraged the Negro players, the black players to play. Let's play. Let's go barnstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he knew Gibson. He knew how great those players were.
Yeah. It's sad they never had the opportunity.
No, sadly, you can't go back and change things.
Can't do anything.
You can't because it's ugly part of our histories. Very unfortunate and ugly that's what happened. And you can't change it. Learn from your mistakes. But bottom line is, it was just sad that that's what occurred way back then. And to this day, you read about what happened to the Celtics. And it's very sad that, again, you read this stuff and you're not letting people eat down. And that was, Kentucky was considered a southern state.
Yeah. Yeah, back then, for sure.
But moving on, NFL, Dave Clark.
I'm ready.
Let's get to what I think is really interesting is the quarterbacks moving.
Yeah.
Changing teams. We've got teams. I pulled up an article on NFL.com, and they talked about quarterbacks that were changing teams and where they were projecting the quarterbacks as far as how would they do with their new team. And great article. And they actually have the people they presume will be starters. We know they will.
Mm-hmm.
Like Sam Darnold will be now a Seattle Seahawk. And they actually said that Sam Darnold will his numbers will be worse in 2025 than they were in 2024. And I really think a lot of that has to so much do, he doesn't have Kevin O'Connell as the head coach.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they have the offensive line and the team around him that he had at Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, see, one thing I think, in all honesty, Seattle might have a better offensive line because they got that great draft where they got the both tackles.
Right.
And they worked out good. And they're more geared, their offense is geared to run the football, where Kevin O'Connell's is really an open, they run it, but it's an open offense. And they'll put the ball up, and they're a fast-paced offense. So they get a lot more plays in and a lot of throwing plays. So I know Seattle, like I said, they had great on that draft. I guess it was like 3 years ago. They got the 2 offensive tackles that worked out to be excellent. He's then filled in his guard and center positions. That's always been good. They really want to run the football. And then you look at his receivers for this season. He's got young guys that he's got to work with. There's no Metcalf. He's gone. There's no Lockett. He's gone.
He's gone.
So it's a lot of young guys. So they got to get some continuity. And it may take 4 or 5 games before you see them to flow like they should. So, yes, I see his numbers being worse, but not because he's a worse quarterback. I just think the situation
team around
is different.
Him.
Yeah, well, and it's a different offense.
A different scheme.
Different scheme. They're not a wide open. I've never been. They've been run-first type of football team, a very physical type football games is what Seattle Seahawks play. So I don't see that. I never remember them ever being wide open. We're just going to throw the ball all day. And if they did do it, you got to go way back to Jim Zorn. And, they throw the ball.
That's 40 years ago.
Yeah. They really did not just drop back and let's throw this ball all day long. No.
Well, Carroll was always a run
first guy.
All those years Carroll coached the team, he always had the running game.
Mm-hmm.
Marshawn Lynch, you go through all the running backs he had. He liked to control the ball, ground game, grind it out.
Yep.
Throw, set, let the run, set up the pass. And that's what he always said. He's doing the same thing, I think, obviously, with the Raiders. He wants to get the
same thing going.
Same thing going with the Raiders, where he wants to get a great running game. So he takes a lot of pressure off. And then Geno Smith's name is up next. I know, just say one thing here. They do question whether or not the offensive line led by first-round pick Gray Zabel can protect Darnold enough for him to thrive. And that's everybody.
Yeah.
That's every team out there is always really the question you always have with every team, especially teams like the Giants who've had miserable offensive lines. And that's going to be the questions with all these teams because the defenders are so quick and fast. And it seems like the tackles and the defensive ends are just so quick. Can the line protect?
Right.
Or can they put a package in there that will allow the quarterback quick passes so they don't have to worry about, getting sacked and hammered by your D lineman. So you've got to look at the whole picture.
Yep.
But the bottom line is going to be, will Darnold and the Seahawks have a package good enough for him to flourish and succeed?
And I think they will, because their coach, you think of him, he's kind of built in the Jim Harbaugh mold. He's from Michigan. He did those things, and he's a physical football team. He's going to run. So, and Zabel, who I think is coming out of North Dakota State. He's probably always got to be the one to prove that, hey, I can pass block. But if you're running, it'll give time for him to get pass blocking. And if you're running well, then play action comes in big time. And that changes a lot of things because now defensive linemen are hesitating because they know, hey, you can run this football. So we got to look at that first before we come after you. So, they look at a lot of things. But I love those little things that you find them like that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're analyzing things, but they're not looking at some of the other situations, I don't look for him to be the guy he was at Minnesota. They threw the ball all over the yard.
Yeah, but Minnesota was,
and it's a wide open offense. They
had the personnel to do it.
Yep, they throw it to their backs. They did everything. So that's the type of offense he plays. So that's a completely different thing.
Now, they say Geno Smith will have better numbers with the Raiders.
And probably and I think they're thinking they should be able to run it.
And they'll have
Chip got to break away
as the offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly.
Yeah, I think he factors into those things, and
they've got the tight end Brock Bowers, and then they have the first round running back Genty.
Right.
Should make life easier running the ball.
And I forgot who they picked.
Yeah, they have Jacoby Myers as one of the wide receivers, and they got an underrated and second round pick.
I like him.
Beck.
Jack Beck.
Yeah. Jack Beck.
Yeah. And then there's somebody else they
wide
picked.
receiver out of TCU.
I guess they picked in the 4th round or something. And somebody said that's a major steal, or 5th round.
Right.
A receiver from somewhere. And he could be a real steal for them and a big play guy. I forgot. I need to look that up for the Raiders, who they drafted in the maybe around the 5th round.
Oh,
receiver.
I think you're thinking of Dante Thornton out of Tennessee, 4th round pick. Yeah. They actually, when you look at they picked the 2 wide receivers out, which will be interesting. Beck and Thornton, 2 young wide receivers that will obviously will have, I think, a good impact. And then Genty being the number 1.
Right.
And then Beck was a 2nd round pick, and Thornton being the 4th round pick wide receiver. What's interesting too is I thought it was interesting. They drafted 2 quarterbacks in the 6th round. Tommy Mellott out of Montana State and Cam Miller out of North Dakota State.
Right. And I remember them playing the championship game. I watched it against each other. I watched it. But Mellott is going to be your new slot type guy. He's your Edelman type guy.
Right.
He changed his position.
Right.
So, and now Cam Miller, I think, is that steal guy because he really can play the quarterback position. So that's your nice project that you have.
There you go.
Yeah.
Learn behind.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to Cleveland and Shador, and they're having that great competition up there.
Yep.
They're good for, he and Gabriel are good friends.
Yep.
To the chagrin of the media that wants to have it.
They want them to
They want them to be feuding, and it's like,
we're not doing it.
We're not doing it. We're good friends. Let's go to the phones. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Hey, Irish Mike. What's happening?
Good. Hey, I don't know if you guys saw the news story on Thursday with the college football unanimously deciding to change the seating this coming year, which we all talked about a year ago. So, took them 1 year to adjust. So now, basically, they're just going to rank them 1 through 12 in regards to whether you win a conference championship or not, et cetera, et cetera. They're just going to put them in a row where they think you belong. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I think it makes sense. I like it. I think that's the way they should do it. Rank the 12 teams, put the teams in there based on their ranking, and you have the top 12. But forget the giving somebody a bye for winning the conference like the Mountain West. And Notre Dame now can get a bye.
Correct.
Well, they should be that way.
Well, the thing's going to come. Well, obviously, they're an independent, so they don't play that conference championship game on the first weekend in December. So, but that's where it's going to cost them from maybe potentially being a 4 or 3 seed to maybe getting knocked back to 5 or 6. Don't you think? What they call that 13th data point that we love to talk about.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the problem you have with that, if they have a problem, if Notre Dame is undefeated. And they're the top, say like they're the top team in the country, they're top 2 or 3, they get a bye, and they should. And I don't have a problem with any of it. I think the conference games I think they should do away with the conference title games.
That's where we're heading, Pat. Absolutely, that's where we're headed.
But they won't do it because it's money.
Oh, it's a huge moneymaker. I don't know how they're going to get around it.
And they're not. Well,
I think we're heading in that direction. But you're right. My buddy said the same thing you did. There's no way they're going to give up that money. There's just no way.
No, and that's the whole problem. Is they're not. That's the problem. The problem is they're not getting. It's like people keep talking about. We talk about it all the time. They're not playing less baseball games. They're not playing less NBA games, and they're certainly not going to play any less college games. They're going to play more college games because they're going to expand that playoff to 14 teams. Ultimately, they're going to get to 16 teams.
Yeah, I heard they're going to go right. I don't know. You guys heard the same thing, but I heard they're going to go right from 12 to 16. They're not going to forego the 14 thing.
Oh, now, really?
That was the original plan, but they're going to forego that now.
Okay.
That's what I was told sometime probably next March or April after they get through this first 2 years of where we're at.
And then they'll switch it.
Yeah. They're going to go. So they're going to go. So they're not going to 14. They're going to go 12 to 16.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
So they're going to skip the 14 and go. Well,
go for it. Just get it. Skip it.
Just do it. Right.
I agree with that one.
I agree with it 100%.
Yeah.
It's like the NFL going to 18 games.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. I actually thought they should have just went from 16 to 18.
That's what I thought. I always thought the NFL should have just gone 16 to 18.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and ultimately the owners have wanted that for 3 or 4 years and it's going to get there, and there'll be one less exhibition game or preseason game, whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Because
when we go back past to the conference championship game, I think that becomes the dilemma in regards to, if you win the Mountain West or if you win, obviously they haven't paired off. I was told when they go to the main reason why Dave Clark, you just brought this up, the main reason why we're going to go to 16 teams is because the Big Ten went to a 9-conference schedule a few years back where you have to play 9 league opponents. And the SEC is still at 8. Well, the SEC will not go to 9 until they're guaranteed there's a 16-team playoff because they don't want their schools to cannibalize one another, for lack of a better phrase.
Right.
So they want some assurances and guarantees to that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. What they need to do with the college football scheduling is they realistically need to stop with playing the
Holy Crosses.
Yeah, the Holy Crosses and
I'm tired of that.
Penn State's a wise guy choice this year for a national title because, people are saying Penn State's the Michigan of 2023. They're the Ohio State of 2024 in regards to now they have a bunch of veteran returning players this year.
Right. They do.
Played 4 or 5 years of college football. They could have foregone their senior year, but came back that one extra year like Michigan 23 and Ohio State in 24. And, veteran-laden team. And here's my slightly. Right out of the gate, they play 3 home games. The 3 non-conference games are all at home. Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova. Okay? And Ohio State's going to open the first game at home against Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
the pressure is going to be on the Penn State.
Well, now right.
Because, they are bringing all these players back. They recruited well.
Yeah.
So you really should be, if you really think about it, one of the top favorites, if not the top favorite in the Big Ten.
In the Big Ten. Yeah, you're right. The pressure's on them.
It's on big time.
Yeah, all eyes are on Penn State.
Yep.
But, Pat, until we get a balanced schedule in college football like we have in the National Football League, you're going to look at some of these schedules and say, wait a second, they played 3 non-conference games. They played home games against Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova. 3 teams that win by 4 or 5 touchdowns or more going to win every game. And it's like, then, you got Ohio State playing number 1 Texas, right at home, boom, right out the gate. Or my other favorite one, you have 12 games, and some teams play 8 home games compared to 4 road games, where other teams are 6 and 6. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And that's
not a balanced schedule.
No,
No. And I don't know how we get there. I don't have the solution, but it just seems to me if you play 12 games, it's unfair that you play 8 of them at home compared to somebody else who's playing 6 on the road and 6 at home.
And I don't know when it happened and how did it happen, but I know I've been watching college football for years. Every Street and Smith book that came out, I would get it. And if I remember back in the day, it was a 10-game season.
Yeah.
And they always had 5 away and 5 home. I don't care who they were playing.
Right.
But it was always evenly. And that was, you look through and you say, okay. But I don't know where it got away from where it's 8 and 4.
I always go back to Ohio State. My first year down at Ohio State, I got my season ticket, and Ohio State basically played 3 out-of-conference games. Okay, this is 1975.
Right.
They were North Carolina, UCLA, and Penn State. That was their out-of-conference back then.
Back then.
So that was a legitimate out-of-conference.
Yeah.
There was no Miami of Ohio or Bowling Green or playing, and they would not. Woody said no. We're what they played out-of-conference, and people said North Carolina was the weakest team. Penn State and UCLA and they were good back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the ugly thing was they beat UCLA in the regular season, went undefeated, and lost the Rose Bowl. UCLA beat them in the Rose Bowl and spoiled the national title that Ohio State had on their doorstep. But the point is, they played out of conference. And I agree with you. When did it all?
I don't know
when did
that
they
happened.
Start playing?
As they added, it went from 10 and
then
11,
they went 12. But then they
12.
started to add these, minor league teams.
Yeah, I'm tired of that.
And I'm tired of it. And even when Michigan won the national title, 2 years ago, their out of conference was a joke.
Yeah. They need to get rid of Penn State. They shouldn't have all 3 of them. At least have one. Even if you wanted to go the first one.
Okay,
one of those. Then get the big game in the middle. And then your next one could be also ran.
A middle.
And now let's get into the
But I know,
they don't have to be also ran. They could still be a decent
team. But I know they do it because of money.
Right.
The schools come in knowing they're going to get their doors blown off because they're getting $1 million or $2 million. So they're doing it strictly for money.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather them bring in Kansas.
Penn State does it every year, guys. They play 3 top 25 programs every year, and they debilitate their program in the first. When they get MAC play, they have 4, 5, 6 guys that can't play because they're so banged up, right, and injured, and they're out for the rest of the year, and it ruins their MAC schedule because they want all that big money the first month of the season playing top 25 programs to fund their other programs.
Here, for the record, this is Penn State's out-of-conference schedule. Nevada, they open up with Nevada.
Okay.
Then they go to FIU, Florida International is the second game. And they have at home and Villanova. They're all home games. They have Villanova at home as the third out-of-conference. So Nevada's
home. And then
home.
the fourth game's at home against Oregon. So
yes.
The Oregon Ducks flag travel.
That's it.
None of those,
the Ducks roll in the town.
None of those first 3 are out. All those games are at home, too?
They're all home. Yeah, they're all home.
They play Nevada at home, FIU at home, Villanova at home.
And then Oregon comes in.
And Oregon comes in, and that's their first conference game is Oregon, September 27th at home.
Wow.
Irish Mike, what's your take, though? So what's going on with the rival with USC and Notre Dame? Are they going to end it?
Right now, obviously Pat Forty wrote that scathing article. I've been told about this for at least 6 to 8 months and would give you a heads up. And, Lincoln Riley mentioned a coach's function last summer and people kind of ran with it and then it went away. I'm not sure about playing Notre Dame. I mean, obviously they joined the Big Ten and they're saying, we have a lot of travel now. Like, we have to go to Maryland. We have to go to Penn State. We have to go to Michigan. We have to go to Minnesota.
Right.
And is it fair for our players to fly cross country maybe 4 or 5 times during the season because of now our new, unless they play at Oregon or at Washington or at UCLA, who are Big Ten members now, they might have to fly in the Midwest or the East. And they say they're travel concerns. Now, other people say this, Pat, and you've talked about this for years, better non-conference matchups, because they've been playing each other for 95 years now, minus 4 or 2 in the COVID year. And since late 20s, 1927, it's arguably the greatest intersectional rivalry in college football. It is, let's be honest, with the Heisman trophies and the titles. But,
sure.
When in a 12-game schedule, we all agree that you can lose 2 games and still make it into the final 12 or my final 16. But once you take that third loss on, unless it's in a conference championship game, you're probably in trouble, correct?
Yeah, if you lose 3, you might be out.
Yeah,
you have to win your. You're going to have
part
to.
Part of their thinking is now we're playing Ohio State, now we're playing Penn State, now we're playing Oregon, now we're playing Michigan. Compared to playing that Pac-12 schedule, it's a little bit different. But they took the money to come to the Big Ten. To be honest, they took a lot of money to come in.
And that's what they signed up for when they came.
Yeah.
Why are they complaining about the travel?
From their standpoint, they look at it and say, why should we continue to play Notre Dame? And they're going to be a top 10 program. Why should we potentially take on another loss every year?
Well, a lot of the people believe it's Lincoln Riley and they want to fire him, but they can't because the buyout's too crazy.
Yeah.
They would fire him if they could. Rumor was.
Remember as soon as Oklahoma announced they're going to the SEC, he was gone 6 months later, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the word. The word basically is that they really don't think, he's not really, the team's not playing well. They'd like to fire him, but they can't because they can't afford his buyout. So he's going to stay coach.
Remember in late January, they hired Notre Dame's recruiting coordinator off of Mark recruiting staff to be their general manager and paid him $1.1 million. He's the highest paid GM in college football right now because his forte is recruiting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
They need some help there.
Right.
Yep.
Well,
and Freeman were hand in hand. Now they're not hand in hand.
Right.
There used to be a great relationship. Not so much anymore.
No.
Right.
And there's your problem. I mean, that's the problem there. It's just, to me, it's Lincoln Riley doesn't want to play it. Not the team, not the school. It's him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to play Notre Dame.
In regards that he might be out of a job in 8 months from now. I mean,
well,
you have that much power to make that call at USC.
Well, I think he does but they can't get rid of him because they can't. The money is they don't want to pony up his buyout.
I think USC definitely want to play that. That's the greatest rivalry.
Yeah. I think the school does.
Clark, the USC fans want to play that game, no doubt about that.
They do.
Oh, they want
the fans.
They love it. That thing's been around forever.
Ever.
Yeah, ever. All right. Thanks, Irish Mike.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend, guys.
You do enjoy it. Memorial Day. All our thoughts go out to all our veterans that have served, died for our country, and the current veterans out there. We have them in our thoughts and prayers. Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Have a safe week. Do not drink and do not drive.
Someone's got to set the tone out there, boys. Someone's got to set it.
The station that sets the tone for Youngstown Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio. WRTV, The Scourge.
VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hi, this is Grace Remington for VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Betting the NBA Conference Finals? Don't forget the zigzag theory. It's still hitting. Over the last 4 postseasons, teams off a loss in the Conference Finals are 24-21 straight up, plus 29, 15, and 1 against the spread in their next game. That's a 66% cover rate. The bounce back is real. Lock in 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $199. Use the promo code PRO. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. Happy Memorial Day to all. I'll be with you, of course, tomorrow morning as well. The VSiN Weekend Morning Line every Saturday and from 10 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And, Memorial Day weekend is a weekend that obviously, first and foremost, we honor all of those who have fallen, who have served our country. But many of us think of it unofficial start to the summer. And depending on where you are from in the country, might have led to different traditions. And for me, even though I never played the sport, I always brought Memorial Day weekend to college lacrosse as we have the semifinals today between Maryland and Penn State and Maryland and Syracuse and Cornell and Penn State. So I always enjoy that kind of background noise. Those games will come on a little bit later. Obviously, the Indianapolis 500.